Coming up on City Spotlight, we're on location for a first-time episode on Urbana, the 21st community to be featured on City Spotlight. We'll talk for the first time with Urbana Mayor Diane Wolfe Marlin, who will give us an overview of Urbana, its location in central Illinois, a look at Urbana's infrastructure, an overview of Urbana's economic development, including higher education and medicine, and outdoor venues for people to utilize in Urbana. We've traveled north and are talking Urbana for the first time next on City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. Hello and welcome to another edition of City Spotlight. As you can see, we are on location for another episode here in Season 8, and we have traveled north for the first time to Champaign County, and we are taping here this first time in Champaign County in Urbana. Yes, our first episode here in Urbana as we tape here on April 8th. We're at the Urbana City Building, and to help us out in this first episode on Urbana, we welcome to the program the Mayor of Urbana, Diane Wolfe Marlin. Diane, it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and we look forward to learning about Urbana in this first episode on Urbana. We'll get an overview from Diane on it, but before we do that, Diane's a first-time guest, so Diane, tell our audience about yourself, please.
Well, I'm in my 5th year as mayor of Urbana, and I like to tell people I almost grew up here because I came to Urbana as a freshman at the University of Illinois, and that was a long time ago, wow. And have lived here ever since. And so I consider this my second hometown.
Fantastic. You mentioned there you've been a part of the community for a long time. Mm-hmm. You went to the U of I. Reading your bio on the Urbana City webpage, very informative webpage. Thank you very much. What got you involved in city government here in Urbana?
Well, I've always been involved from the day I arrived on campus. I have been involved in the community, and that was the big difference. I discovered the community outside of campus, and I was involved with some environmental issues. And when my kids were in school, I was very involved in the schools. And then in 20-some years ago, we got involved in some neighborhood issues, and that's when I really came into contact with folks in city government and really grew to appreciate the role of city government in our everyday lives. And one thing led to another, and when the seat for opportunity to run for city council came up, I took the leap and did it. So I was elected to city council in 2009 and served 2 terms, 8 years on council, and then I ran for mayor in 2017.
Okay, very good.
So I think local government is actually in many ways the most important form of government, and it's certainly the government that touches our lives, which is why I find it fascinating.
Thank you very much, Diane. So again, we're here in Urbana, and in this first episode, let's get an overview of the community, location of Urbana. We're here in Champaign County. Urbana is the county seat of Champaign County. Urbana is also the second largest city in Champaign County. And as many people know, Urbana has a lot of roads to get to and from. Interstate access, I-74 on the north end of Urbana. Also I-72 and I-57 are nearby. You also have U.S. routes 45 and 150 that go through the community. And the road that I traveled on today to get to Urbana, Illinois, Route 130 on the eastern part of Urbana. So Diane, it's safe to say there's many ways to come to Urbana here in central Illinois.
And when I need to go to Charleston, I take 130. So.
Talk about the location of Urbana here in central Illinois and just how accessible Urbana is.
It's very accessible, and that's one of the advantages we do have. We also have train service, and we have Willard Airport, so we have air service as well. So we try to have, we have multimodal options for transportation. We're a city of about 40,000 people, and I'm glad you brought up the fact that we're the county seat. It's one of the things that people sometimes forget,
Really?
but that is one of our major roles. People come to the city of Urbana. We're just a couple blocks from the county courthouse right here at City Hall. And they come to Urbana to do the business of their lives, and that's a very important function in addition to many other things we do.
You have other administration buildings located on the other parts of Urbana as well, so people do come to Urbana for a lot of business.
And we have a federal courthouse here as well. So
absolutely, very good. All right, let's talk about infrastructure. Let's talk about your Urbana city roads. We mentioned all the roads that get you to Urbana: freeways, highways, Illinois routes. How are the inner roads of Urbana doing?
Well, we're now in pothole season, which is true everywhere in central Illinois, but we are systematically focusing on infrastructure, and that's one of the goals that I had coming into office was to invest more in our public infrastructure. So, first term, we spent getting basic data. We did a citywide pavement assessment of our streets. We did a programming and space needs assessment and condition of all of our public buildings. We also updated our stormwater master plan. So we laid the groundwork for developing a plan for systematically repairing and replacing during my first term, and now we're in the implementation phase. So we have our capital improvement plan. We have a number of major street projects underway now. If you come in from I-74 and come down Lincoln Avenue, that's under construction now. Wow. The Department of Transportation just finished a $10 million reconstruction of University Avenue, which is our busiest street in town. Absolutely. We've got another one, several others in the works. And we're on the verge of, in the planning stages now, design stages for replacing 2 of our outdated fire stations.
Okay.
And then we're making renovations here at the city building to really better serve the public. So we've, I'm proud of that. We're systematically tackling some of our basic infrastructure, and we really do need to invest more.
Something that we talk about all the time here on City Spotlight with mayors such as Diane, city managers, city administrators, public works, your roads, the guts of the city. And obviously you're a larger community, one of the larger communities we've covered here on City Spotlight, so you obviously do have a lot of roads. And very cool to hear about the fire stations, because that's obviously something that doesn't happen every year, let alone every decade.
Well, every 50 years, if you're lucky, like us. It's long overdue, and and when I think about what do people contact me about, one of the things I hear from most often from folks is the basic infrastructure: sidewalks, street lights, street conditions, and that sort of thing. So, and that's our job, City government, that's one of our jobs, a very important part of our job.
All right, very good. From roads, public works, any other public works or projects that, you mentioned the things that have been worked on, any other pressing public works projects people can expect in Urbana this year or moving forward? Well,
another program that we are instituting this year is what we're calling our EQUAL, and that's an infrastructure program. It stands for Equity and Quality of Life. So we tried something different. We set aside an additional $2 million in our capital budget, and we turned to the community and said, what does your neighborhood need? What would improve life in your neighborhood? And we're looking for smaller scale infrastructure projects like streetlights and sidewalks and ramps.
Those are personal. Those mean things to people.
Yes, those are small scale, personal, but very important projects. And we have had about 85 different suggestions, and we're looking to make these improvements in neighborhoods that have for whatever reason, have not had as much investment as in the past. And the other thing is, if you're in a city like ours or larger cities, it didn't all get built at the same time, so standards were different depending on when a neighborhood was built out. And the community grew. So some neighborhoods have no sidewalks, some have no curb and gutters, some have no streetlights. I think at one point, designers decided, well, no one's ever going to walk again. They're all just going to drive cars, so you don't need all this stuff. Well, that's ridiculous. So we're going back to try to address some of those small-scale projects. And and we've never actually approached it quite this way. You tell us what you need that would make your life better in your neighborhood.
Very interesting. Had other communities, smaller communities, Oakland, Charleston, that they've been improving their sidewalks, and people have been giving the feedbacks in those communities. Thank you very much. That means a lot to us to have our sidewalk in front of my house. Looks so much better that we can walk on.
Well, the past couple of years, people, during the pandemic, people walked a lot more. They got outside a lot more, and number one, they noticed this, and it really reinforced the need and the importance of connectivity.
All right, very good. Great to hear that. Thank you for that on Public Works in Urbana. From roads and public work buildings to, let's talk about notable businesses in Urbana. Obviously, a community of this size, you have many, many businesses, some large employers in the areas of higher education and medicine in Urbana. So where do you want to start, Diane, with your most prominent or notable businesses or employers here in Urbana?
Well, of course, we are the home of the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
Correct.
And we have over 50,000 students here now. It's a huge university in relatively small cities.
Yes.
So that is our largest employer. Our three largest employers are, as you noted, education, healthcare, and government.
Correct.
Because of the county courthouse, the county seat, the federal courthouse, schools, etc. So we're very heavy in the public sector realm, and that is good, in that those jobs tend to be more stable and continuous, so they serve as a really good base for employment. And it also brings a lot of people into our community on a daily basis.
It does, and we'll talk about the U of I in just a second, but obviously one of those major employers that brings a lot of people in is Carl.
Yes.
Very noticeable, and all the improvements that they made through the years, as I mentioned to Diane. Well, my kids were born at Carl here in Urbana, and a lot of people rely on the facilities of Carl here in Urbana.
Yeah, we have two regional medical centers, Carl Foundation Hospital as well as OSF in Urbana.
Correct.
So both of those are regional centers. Carl's a level 1 trauma center, so they have patients coming from, I believe it's last time I looked, it was 25 or 30 county area.
A lot of places.
Huge number of people coming, thousands of people every day.
Right.
So they're a great employer, as well as providing good health care in this region. And that's one of the attractions of our city is, we're a small city, but we have a lot of big opportunities. And the advantages of a small city, short commute and affordable homes, and however, you do have access to a world-class university and excellent medical care.
Yes, very much so. And that campus there, Urbana-Champaign campus of the University of Illinois, the unbelievable amount of things that it attracts people to both communities of Champaign and Urbana, but to Urbana, to have a good portion of the campus in Urbana brings a lot of people to the area. There's so many advantages, and I love the energy of the students. Every year, every August, you have a new group of people coming into town, and they just bring such energy. And then just the this campus impacts the world. It always has, and you have a global impact from this little town. I love your comment about when the students come back. I've interviewed a few university presidents, and one of their favorite days of the year is the student move-in day, to see them all come back. So, very good. You're an alumnus of the U of I, and that's how you, as you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, you came here to Urbana. You're not originally from Urbana, but that's how you kind of, as you said, your second home. You certainly know the many things that attract people here to this community. Obviously, the arts and a number of activities that people can do. What an asset to the community of Urbana to have, as you said, a world-class institution right here in your backyard.
Yeah, not only I have a couple of degrees from the U of I, but I also am a retiree from the U of I. I worked there for 25 years, and as well as taught at Parkland College. And then I'm the parent. One of my kids went to the U of I, so I'm a U of I parent, alumnus, and retiree. So orange and blue all the way.
Many ways. Very good. All right, so from those larger employers that we've talked about, let's shine the light a little bit on some of your more newer businesses that have maybe popped up, maybe not as large as some of the ones we've just talked about, but what are some of your newer additions to the community?
Well, one of the advantages also we have here is we have very good collaboration with our neighboring city, Champaign, with the campus. There's a very, very strong entrepreneurial system here. We have the research park where a lot of new businesses are born and develop. And we work very closely with the Champaign County Economic Development Corporation, visit Champaign County and our neighboring communities. So we have startups, we have new restaurants, we in many ways support new businesses as well.
And as I mentioned at the very beginning, the accessibility for Urbana to have the roads that help lead in. So is it safe to say that Urbana looks pretty attractive as far as the accessibility and location that it has for businesses wanting to come to Central Illinois?
Yes. We have programs in place to help startups and to support them in those efforts. And when you talk about accessibility, I don't want to forget we have an excellent mass transit system. So actually, a much higher percentage of people can walk, take a bus, or ride a bike here than in other communities, and they don't need to drive a car. And with the price of gas where it is today, that's suddenly becoming a lot more important. So there's that too. So it makes it a really accessible, connected, and affordable place to live.
Oh, very good. Good to have all those modes of transportation there in the community. All right, communities of this size, or any community that we've covered here on City Spotlight, outdoor activities are very important to people, quality of life, as we like to talk about. You have several parks and pools. We'll start with Meadowbrook Park.
Sure. Well, you mentioned parks and pools and schools. First of all, people assume that many people who aren't familiar with the community assume that I also have the school districts and the park districts under the city umbrella, which I don't. So I can send those to other
Thank you for pointing that out.
other taxing bodies. But yes, we have excellent parks and schools. Meadowbrook is one of our jewels. Crystal Lake Park has just undergone a $20 million overhaul. So there people will see some great improvements there. We have the Outdoor Aquatic Center. And again, the last couple of years, people everywhere discovered the value of our parks, and they were very heavily used. So grateful for that.
Very good. Fair to say, even though this is our first time talking, thought we're 2 years plus into the start of the pandemic. It's fair to ask how the city of Urbana handled and navigated to this point through COVID.
Well,
I know, as you mentioned before the interview, you said you could talk the whole time about it.
I could spend years talking about it. I mean, it was an overwhelming experience for all of us, especially anyone in public service, whether you're in healthcare or the schools or city government. You had a million things coming at you every day, and you had to make decisions instantaneously, and you often using the information you had at the time, which, as you know, changed constantly. We were extremely fortunate in this community to have a very good working relationship with our neighboring communities, our social service organizations, the public health district, the University of Illinois, our first responders, and we very quickly formed, I think, a very good working team. So we based our decisions on science, we had good communication, and we worked together. And I've told people, and I'm very proud of our response. Our goals from the beginning were to reduce the spread of infection, to keep people healthy, to protect our healthcare system. Correct. We didn't want to overwhelm our hospital capacity, and to support individuals. So we spent a great deal of time changing policies and programs to support our businesses, to support families, to get us through the pandemic, and in addition to all the day-to-day operations that we had to maintain. So everyone all suddenly had two jobs to do. It was respond to the COVID-19 and do everything else that we had to do to keep the city running. And our employees were terrific. I'm very proud of our response. And I often say, if I had to go through a pandemic again, which I never want to, I'd not want to be anywhere else other than Champaign County. Just when you think about the innovations at the University of Illinois and the saliva-based testing that they developed, and our access to testing and that sort of thing, it was just remarkable.
It's interesting being down in Charleston, a little bit further south than Champaign-Urbana, seeing it on the local news here, all those things that involving the healthcare system up here and again, those testing, but to hear that personal insight from your perspective, being a city leader and how it works. So thank you very much for that insight.
Well, and we had to do that, and we had to respond in that way because, again, our medical centers here serve such a large region. So we were having COVID patients coming from many, many other areas. And what we did here in Urbana had a direct impact on whether our hospitals could serve those patients coming from other places. So you know, it was a life-saving situation.
Just a few minutes left with you, Diane. It's been a very informative first episode here on Urbana. Coming up on 5 years as mayor, or fifth year, however you want to put it. What are something that you're most, or some things that you're most proud of during the 5 years as mayor?
Oh, I have a very long list. I came into office with a very long list, and we've accomplished a lot of those. We talked about infrastructure.
Right.
I wanted to. There were just a lot of internal things that we've updated and modernized here at the city. Our response to the pandemic. Going forward, it will be continuing to improve our public infrastructure. We're also now in the process of allocating American Rescue Plan funds, so we'll be looking at addressing gun violence, crime, some social service areas, as well as collaborating with our school district and park district for some longer term projects. So we have a lot on our plate the next couple of years.
Could ask you any number of follow-up questions to end our interview here, but this is to answer this in a minute or 2 minutes. You know, you've been a part of the community for 50 years. What's one of the biggest things that you've noticed over those 50 years that you've seen evolve in Urbana?
Growth in the community. We've diversity in the community.
Right.
You know, people are here. We have an increasingly larger number of international students, families coming from all over the world, dozens of different languages, which is what makes this such a vibrant community. I mean, you know, we're a small city, but you can have a big life here. And it's not just the presence of the university, but it's the people themselves and the richness they bring. So, you know, I can go to a Mexican grocery store, I can go to an African grocery store, I can go to a Guatemalan store, I can, you know, we can eat Korean food. It's so many amenities that you'd expect to find in a larger city, you also find here on a smaller scale, and they're accessible. And just last night, I was at the Krannert Center for the Performing Arts on campus for the Marriage of Figaro. So I don't often go to opera, but if you have to go, that's the one to see. So it's a remarkable experience.
You got a lot of avenues to enjoy different parts of the world right here in your own backyard. So that's a very good point to make. Moving forward, the rest of this year, what's something that's on your radar moving forward that you're looking forward to tackling here in the city of Urbana?
Well, again, it's allocating our American Rescue Plan funds, and it's the construction projects, the building projects, and addressing some of the challenges facing our community.
All right, very good.
And maybe going to a football game or two. So.
Maybe that too. that might be an option come fall time. Yeah. So a lot of things to view there at the University of Illinois. Our first time talking Urbana here on City Spotlight. We've been on location talking with the Mayor of Urbana, Diane Wolfe Marlin. Diane, we have a lot of things to follow up on from this first visit, and we look forward to talking with you down the road again.
Well, I hope you come back.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Love coming up to all of our communities here in Central Illinois, and we're glad to be here in Champaign County talking Urbana the first time. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Diane. And that'll do it for this first episode here on Urbana. As we close on this episode here on Urbana, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in Urbana. Thank you for tuning in to City Spotlight. You can check out past episodes, including the one you're watching right now, on YouTube. To check out recent episodes of Central and Southeastern Illinois towns featured on City Spotlight, search on YouTube, City Spotlight. with the show number and the name of the town. Listed on your screen are the last 5 episodes of City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.